Hey guys, it's Emily. Today is my birthday. This is Fleurs, my little babu. Um, don't know if anybody is watching, but I'm going to go over to the comments. So, been gone for a little while, not too long, 2 weeks. Hey, thank you. Yeah, today's my birthday. Anyways, so let's go ahead and you probably can see the reflection of my glasses, which is kind of weird. Thank you for the happy birthday. Um, so I got glasses. I'm probably gonna take them off because of the reflection that they're giving. Um, so probably take these off, put them on my. Don't know if I wanna put them on. All right. Well, I can see with my glasses. I just will not. Sorry for the glare. Hey Astrid, thank you. Lovey, thank you. All right. Okay. And then, like I said, Flair's here. So, yeah, it's funny. I don't know if everybody knows how old I am, but today, like very recently, like in the last few weeks, I keep on getting people asking me if I'm turning 19. Not on YouTube. In real life, people think that I'm like 19. I just turned 26 today, so I'm a lot older than 19. But and maybe I don't really look like it. I feel like I look more like a 26-year-old with these glasses versus without the glasses. But in real life, people think I'm a lot younger just by the way I look in person. But anyways, so I wanted to talk about some things. Obviously, I put out a controversial video 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to talk about specifics because I said that I wasn't going to talk about that situation anymore. There's really nothing to say. But what I will say is that video, well, first of all, I don't take anything back from that video, and I'm sorry that people got offended. I think the majority of the people that got offended were people that came from that person's channel, and don't watch me and don't care about me, which is fine. But I think if they knew the full situation, which a lot of you guys, I would say almost all of you guys don't really know the full situation, I think you wouldn't want. I don't think if I was like an objective figure, I wouldn't want my friend to be in that relationship. So why would it be okay if I was in that relationship? And why is it bad that I talk about my experience without even giving details? But that's beside the point. Also, I'm not a yes type of person. I don't hang out with people that that are. I like to be around people that take control of their life and that care about not only themselves but other people as well. And I'm not gonna, like, if I think that one of my friends or if I'm in a relationship, if I think that that person is doing something harmful for themselves, to themselves or to other people, I'm going to speak up, and I'm not going to just sit around and say yes, yes, yes just because someone's considered attractive, popular online. Because in real life, the story is very different, but not going to get into that. So moving off of that situation, what does this say? is better than you like ENTPs. Um, Personally, I don't really have a preference for. Thank you for the happy birthday. I don't have a preference for certain personality. I guess I do. ENTPs are great. I've dated an ENTP before. I wouldn't say that one personality is better than the other. I think the only personality that I have trouble seeing myself with is an ESTJ. But other than that, I think you can work through things. But there are certain flavors and certain preferences that I notice within the personality types that I wouldn't necessarily like. I wouldn't say that ENTPs are my most ideal personality type for me personally, but I see how they could be ideal for other people. I think I tend to gravitate towards INTJs. Like romantically, I tend to gravitate towards INTJs, ENFPs. Not that I've really dated too many ENFPs, but I tend to really get along with ENFPs. Um, ESFJs tend to like me as well, but I don't know. Anyways, Evan, I just discovered MBTI and wow, it's made me realize so much. I'm a Cancer, um, INFJ, EMT. I'm as legit as it can get. What is sauce? What's my type? Well, something that I've had a lot of people ask me lately is for them to for me to type them. I personally don't like typing people via chat. I would like to, if I want to even type someone, if I even want to like considerably, I don't know. If I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with words. But if I was to feel like I was doing a good job at typing someone, or at least where I would feel more confident typing someone would be face to face in person. But I think the next best thing is doing a video chat with that person and asking them questions and kind of seeing where they're at. There's certain questionnaires out there that are good. I know Megan Lavoda is starting a typing service, and I think her typing service is going to be interesting. We've talked about potentially in the future having me on board with that typing service, but right now I don't know. Like I personally would not feel comfortable saying that someone's a certain type. It took me like several years to even feel confident about my parents' type and my sister's type. Um, like I just don't think, I don't know. I wouldn't want to say that I'm 100% correct. And I never want to say that even about my own type. I think I'm 99.99% sure. Um, but yeah. Um, Levi, INFJ, INFP relationship. What do I think about it? Wait, I think someone else asked another one. You said, do you like INTPs? I mean, I like a lot of different personality types. I mean, I like all personality types, even ESTJs, the ones that I personally wouldn't seek out a romantic relationship with or even a close relationship with. I do have ESTJs that I have kind of at a distance in my life. Not many, but like for example, my nana's boyfriend is an ESTJ, and I'm currently living with my nana until I move into an apartment next month. I'm actually back in South Carolina visiting my mom for my birthday, and that's why I have LaFleurist here, Fleur, my cat. But Yeah, so I'm living with an ESFJ, my nana, and her boyfriend, an ESTJ, and I get along pretty well with the ESTJ. There are certain things that are kind of abrasive, in my opinion, that he does, but I've known him for several years that I kind of know where to go with that. And it's the same thing with INTPs. My dad's an INTP, and I get along really well with him. And I have a lot of, or I've had several INTP friends, closer friends, but I also wouldn't say they're my, like, I don't necessarily seek INTPs out. I tend to get along better with INTJs versus INTPs. Not necessarily get along better, but I tend to seek out friendships from INTJs versus INTPs, but that's just me. And as far as INFP and INFP and INFJ and Myers-Briggs, well, I really like INFPs and we get along really well, but I personally don't I wouldn't that's another romantic relationship that I wouldn't necessarily seek out because even though I get along well with INFPs in a friendship setting, romantically, I just feel like we kind of don't really always connect on the same levels. Like we can connect, but it's almost like going at a different angle, but an angle that I'm not really on board with. Um, let's see. Oh, Jack. Nice birthday glasses. Thank you. Sarah, I always second guess when I say someone is a type. I do the same thing in a way. Um, there's definitely certain people that I'm more certain about, but I wouldn't like, I don't know. Like for example, there's individuals on the internet that I personally don't not like I'm not completely convinced are a certain personality type that they claim to be. But I'm also not going to be the type to make a video that that person's mistyped. And there's been people that I've interviewed that I didn't even throughout the interview, even though I may have said that it was, let's say, an INTP interview, which isn't necessarily the interview that I'm talking about, but where I interview someone, it doesn't mean that I actually think that person's an INTP. That's what that person thinks they are. So it's interesting. And I think on the new interview channel, which I really want to start up soon again, I'm going to do more in-person interviews. I think I would rather try to start interviewing people that I really think are the personality type that they are, but then again, I could be wrong. Thank you, Sarah. All of my family are SJs and both of my parents are STJs. Interesting. Jordan or Cookie Crispings. This is where I would typically donate, but you know the business of bills adding up. Hope you are well anyway. Thank you. You do not need to donate. Um, S. Bradley, happy birthday, INTJ here. Hey. 32-bit distro, you look good. You look cute with glasses. Omar, I'm I'm an ESTJ. Cool. Liza, happy birthday. I love that you were born. Thank you. Savage Studio, cool glasses. Happy birthday. Thank you. Um, I guess this is the time. So I really don't want to I do want to kind of have a conversation with you guys. Not even just about my opinions necessarily. But I think I've made a lot of like hints of things that I want to do in the future on my channel. Um, I will have to say, so without going into again details about my last video, there were, even though I try not to react negatively to comments, and I also realize where people are coming from when they write certain comments, especially if they don't know me in person, which is the majority of the people that wrote, well, actually, not the majority, all of the people that wrote the really kind of nasty comments, um, or the comments that were fairly negative, are not people that know me personally. Those are people that came on to my channel from that other individual's channel just to look at that video, which I understand. My original title and thumbnail were clickbaity in a sense. They were clickbaity in a sense that I wanted people to watch, and I wanted the people that maybe wrote those negative comments to be the ones that watched it the most, because I think a lot of people idealize people, including myself. Like, I idealize certain people, or I don't mean to, but there's certain people that I kind of put on a pedestal, and that's very unhealthy to do. And I know that most people know that, but it's so different when you're in a community where people seem approachable. So like, I don't ever want you guys to think that, you can't DM me on Instagram. Maybe at some point, I don't think anytime in the future, maybe at some point I won't be able to respond to every single DM. But as anybody who has DM'd me, apart from people that are spammy, I respond to everything. And the person that video was about at the time was pretty approachable. I haven't really tried to reach out to this person apart from sending them a text saying that I made that video, and if they wanted me to take it down, I'll take it down, but I stand by what I said. Um, it's just like there's lines that can be blurred at times, and I made that video in a sense that I wanted to be respectful. I didn't want to say the person's name, even though the original thumbnail, you can kind of see the blurred image, and you can kind of know, especially if you knew the situation before. But for the people that may not even know the situation at all, wouldn't necessarily know that person's name and wouldn't know what that person was struggling with. And they would be able to put themselves in that person's shoes. I mean, in my shoes, as someone, not saying that like, oh, be me, but like put yourself in that situation and realize like, this could happen to anybody. And I know that, you know, I don't make always the best decisions. And I definitely don't think I'm a saint. And I'm not saying that I was completely right in every single situation, but yeah, that's why I made the video. Um, it wasn't to diss that person. That person was very open about what they're struggling with, albeit not super explicit about it and not really detailed about it, which is fine. That's that person's privacy. But but to act like, you know, I don't know, I care about that person, and I'm not going to sit back, because there's a lot of information that you guys don't know. There's things that this person doesn't reveal to everybody, and I think I might be one of, if not the only person besides family members and maybe close friends in real life that know certain things about this person, and certain things that this person does. But I would never go on online and reveal those things because that isn't right, in my opinion. But I do want to shake that person and anybody that thinks, you know, anybody that, I don't know. I don't know if this makes sense, but I said this earlier. Basically, I'm gonna phrase it like this because I don't want to use that as an example anymore. This is not, I want to be very clear with this. This was not my situation, but I'm going to make a fictional situation that wasn't my experience, but is similar enough that people can kind of see and I can give more details because it's not this experience that I experienced. So let's say you had a friend. Let's pretend this friend's name is Sally. And this friend starts dating a guy or a girl, whoever they're into. And that person seems like a very nice person, and they are very nice. And they, are very sweet. They have a lot of stuff in their life. Um, they're successful in many ways. They have their faults, and Sally also has her faults as well. And, basically regular people. And Sally and this other person, let's say this is a guy, Tom and Sally start their relationship with the idea of communication and talking about certain things. And Sally talks about, you know, and again, this is a fictional situation, so obviously they're going to be silly examples. Um, Tom, I let's talk about, certain things that, would this is basically if we want to be together, these are the things that need to happen. And Sally says, well, I really want to be with someone that respects, respects service workers, is basically treats everybody the same. Maybe not the same, but respects people on a human level. And then Tom's like, oh, yeah, me too. Also, Sally says, I don't want to be with someone that is obsessed with candy. Again, this is a silly example. Is obsessed with candy, Legos, and um, elephants. And then Tom says, oh, yeah, me too. I hate those. Or, yeah, I would never do any of that. Like, yeah, that's not. I kind of liked elephants for a little bit. I liked elephants a little bit, but no, I'm not into elephants at all. Um, and so Sally and Tom really start dating, and then they become more serious. And Sally and Tom, see each other quite a bit, and things seem to go really well. And the communication keeps up. And then Tom comes out and says, um, actually, I'm obsessed with elephants, and I cannot go a single day without being consumed with elephants, and it would be really sad for me to give up liking elephants. And so Sally's like, oh, well, this is kind of shocking because you told me that you kind of liked elephants before, but you don't like them anymore, and you don't, associate yourself with that. And I thought that, us being in this relationship, that wouldn't be something that, we were kind of on this even level playing fields where we kind of told each other exactly what we wanted from one another, and like this is what would make this work, and without these certain building blocks it's not going to work. um and these are very foundational things, not Not like, "Oh, I don't like your face," or "You look whatever." And so Tom gets upset that Sally clearly told him when they first started talking that she wasn't going to be with someone that was obsessed with elephants. Um, and he got upset. And so Sally was like, okay, um, we can work through this. I can help you out. Let's talk about solutions. Let's talk about ways of helping the situation, how we can get out of this situation. And Tom says, um, yeah, I would be very sad if I couldn't ever do that again, if I could never like love elephants again. And so Sally had to think about it and think about her future and think about, okay, this obsession with elephants is going to take over this this Tom guy's life. And people that are obsessed with elephants, again, obviously a really stupid example, very silly. Obviously this video is going to be unlisted at certain points. No, well, Tom, oh, I shouldn't have used elephants as a thing. Let's pretend the name was Candy instead of elephants, because I think elephants, even though Tom was a Republican, Tom is a Republican, that is not the word we're going to use. We're going to use the word candy. So Sally knew that candy could take over this person's life and even make them act different down the line, and even show some unhealthy behaviors that could be physical and verbal towards people, um, including themselves and their family. Sally decided, instead of dragging it out and seeing this person like kind of go down a hill of a black hole of not wanting to give up candy, which was before elephants until I changed it to candy. Um, not not wanting to give up candy, and in fact loving candy and feeling very sad if they ever had to give up candy, and not seeing candy as a big deal, even though they were consuming a ton of candy each day, um, but didn't see it as a big deal because they were able to go through their life seemingly normal. Um, Sally decides after some time that the best solution was to break it off with Tom, because what was more important to Sally was a partnership with Tom where they were on equal footing and wanting to build a healthy life with one another. Whereas Tom, not saying that Tom didn't want those things, but Tom felt like candy was the most important thing in his life. Even though he never explicitly said that, that's exactly what it was becoming. And so Sally got out of it. So that was kind of a silly example of what happened. Um, but moving on, what I want to do in the future on this channel is, there's going to be some silly stuff. I really want to do some stuff justice, and I also want to, I don't know, it's going to be a mix of short film type things, artistic films, comedy, and maybe some Myers-Briggs. I think there will be Myers-Briggs stuff, but I'm pretty, I would have to say that I'm a little bit fed up with this community in a lot of senses, because what started off as something, I mean, I'm still very interested in Myers-Briggs, but over time it became almost this thing where it wasn't really fun anymore. I mean, it's still fun, but there still are a lot of supportive people. But somewhere down the line, and it happened, I would say, in the last 6 months or so, especially, somewhere down the line, people started seeing other people as competition. And that's partly why I hid my subscribers, because I don't give a shit about how many subscribers I have. You know, in the future, it would be nice to have like a good amount of subscribers. Um, but I don't make videos so I can have a million subscribers. I don't make videos so I can have like a million views on my videos. If I was doing that, I think I would be very unhappy with the things I was doing. Um, and personally, I make videos because I want to inspire people and I want to create things because I find it to be something that, I don't know, I really enjoy creating things. It's something that I've always liked. It hasn't always been video format, even though I've been doing this, not YouTube, but I've been creating videos since I was 13 or, well, actually, no. When I was little, I had a camcorder, so I don't even know how old I was. Um, but I started making like videos when I was like 13, like skit videos. And I never posted them, and I wish I could because I think they would be really cringy and funny. But I do it because I love it. I'm definitely more on the artistic side of things. I've never really been someone that enjoyed doing like, I don't know, certain tasks. That's not even very descriptive, but yeah. So I kind of am fed up with the way things are going. Um, and I really don't want to be compared to certain people anymore. And I don't want to even really be associated. I kind of want to break off and do my own thing in a way. But I still want to create like certain Myers-Briggs stuff. But at the same time, I kind of want to leave it behind. So what I'm thinking about doing, and I just really don't want to make promises because I think when I make promises, that's when things don't come together as quickly as I want them to. But I really kind of want to make like a surge of Myers-Briggs videos and not necessarily be done with the topic completely, but make a surge of them that it's almost like, all right, so I'm getting these ideas out of my system so I don't have to like sit on these ideas anymore. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where I'm at. I really want to make content about like other subjects that are not personality related, or at least Myers-Briggs or socionics. Um, so I'm gonna look at the comments. I know I kind of like said a very vague story, and I don't know if you guys were doing anything. John King, happy birthday. From one old fart to another. Just kidding about the old fart comment. I mean, I am. I'm getting up there. I'm closer to 30 than I am 20, and that's crazy. But Lisa, screw it, they don't deserve your attention. I mean, that's true. Referring back to those comments, it doesn't bother me too much just because I know the truth, or at least my truth, and I know, I know like what really happened. Obviously there's many sides of the story, but I know what happened. Like I was there. And I know that both of us, including that other, like me and that other person, had good intentions in the relationship. And it didn't really end on a super bad term, on super bad terms. And I wouldn't even say the video I made was me attacking this person, but because that person has such a massive following, of course there's going to be, even if there's like a tiny slither, like people only saw, I guess, whatever comment that was allegedly posted on his channel. that's where all those like hate, dislikes, and all this other stuff came from. And you know what? That's fine. If they want to watch my video, and again, it's not like I make that much money from my videos. Trust me, like I would not be able to support myself by any means by the money that I make from my videos. And that's fine. That's not why I make videos. But really, the way I see it is if you're going to go on my video and leave hate comments and dislike my video, I mean, you're actually kind of supporting me in a way because you're, giving me some type of revenue, which is a bit ironic. But to each their own. Liza, none of us are saints. That is true. We aren't. Supernova, hey. Cedric Beachy, happy birthday, thank you. Catherine Sordo, happy birthday, thank you. Supernova, happy birthday, thank you. Bye, Jordan. Max, 3719, happy birthday, thank you. All right. Sorry, I'm just reading these comments. I guess I could read them out loud. Big Bub. I think in MBTI, a lot of stereotyping goes on even though the people stereotyping say they aren't stereotyping. I mean, yeah, I would say, whoa, what is that? Oh, sorry, got distracted. I thought I saw something on my finger. Anyways, I would say, yeah, there's nobody out there that is completely objective. By design, as humans, we are not created to be completely objective. We live in our subjective experiences. So it's also very difficult to 100% accurately type someone. Sorry. Because most people, well, not most people, I'd say a good amount of people, maybe not most, maybe not even a plurality, of people, a high plurality of people, but there are a number of people that aren't even able to accurately type themselves. And I say this, typing to me is a journey. I wouldn't say that someone is necessarily able to accurately type themselves in a short amount of time. What I mean by this, it doesn't mean that you are mistyped. You could be, let's say, typed as an INTJ, and that is all you've typed as on any kind of test you've taken. Or maybe you've sometimes typed as INTP, maybe sometimes typed as INFJ, whatever it is. Even if it is the majority of the time you type as INTJ, and very well you are an INTJ, I would not say that someone should say with 100% certainty that they are an INTJ from just a short interaction with the theory. I think it's something that is developed over time, and you have to really study the cognitive functions. And it's something that for some people could take months or even years to figure out. For me, I was mistyped as an ENFJ, and it was kind of my fault in a way because I didn't really study the cognitive functions on a super in-depth level at first. But when I did start studying it, I realized that I wasn't an ENFJ. I also typed as INFJ as well, but there's many factors to that. Mohammed, wait, it's your birthday? Well, happy birthday, thank you. Princess, NCG1, happy birthday, thank you. Supernova, what are you doing to celebrate your birthday? So, to you guys, since I haven't been posting so many videos, I've only posted since I've been back. Well, since I've been in Georgia, the only video that I filmed in Georgia and uploaded was my last video. So obviously you guys haven't really seen that background that many times, but that's where I'm living now, which is in Georgia. Right now I'm in South Carolina visiting my mom and also my cat, Blair, and my dog. Astrid the Earthling. I'm sure it was more than just the candy problem and his followers. The ones blinded can't even consider him, seeing him in another light besides being on a pedestal. Astrid, that's true. I mean, there are other factors. There are some factors that some of my friends know, and I kind of have joked about, which is kind of mean. But there are other like factors that he can't really help that do play a small role. But there's also the factor of I felt like we were on different wavelengths, if I want to say it bluntly. And this isn't like maturity wavelength. I mean, this isn't maturity because I don't see myself as like the most mature person. And this isn't like intelligence or something like that. But just kind of where we were in life, our like mindset. My mindset has always been one of wanting to grow and expand. And I'm not saying that he didn't have that mindset, but his mindset was a bit different. He was a lot more and used to a lot more willing and used to being in the same place and doing the same things and keeping up this comfort zone. And I wasn't really on board with that completely. But that's a very vague answer. JL Ryder 97, happy birthday. Oh, you're a Leo too. All right, so this person is being blocked because they said something extremely inappropriate. You guys aren't seeing it because it's held for review. But we are going to block that person. I think I do really get a lot of INTJs that watch. Obviously INFJs as well. Supernova, Emily didn't want to name a specific person in the videos, so I wouldn't feel comfortable doing so, but it was a fellow MBTI YouTuber she used to date. Thank you, Supernova. I agree. Thank you for not saying that. And that's something I found very ironic. So the people that supposedly support him and are such diehard fans are also the people that were the first to name him and also reveal what they thought I was referring to that he was struggling with. And they may or may not be right about that, but it still was a bit interesting in my opinion that they did that. Emily, in MBTI, the cognitive functions go far deeper, and I find out a lot more things no one knows or talks about. Yes, I think it's good to go into the cognitive functions for sure. But couldn't you be an atypical, non-stereotypical ENFJ that has developed inferior or other functions through other life experiences? Um, Big Bob, that is a very good theory. However, you guys don't see how I was before I went to college. And I've said this many times, and I think I just need to make a video about it. But I was incredibly shy before I went to college. Um, like I didn't talk to people. And I'm not saying that because like to be an introvert you have to be that way. But I when you think about introvert, like a very stereotypical introvert, I would say anybody that didn't know me personally, they would open a dictionary and say, Emily Elizabeth Barnes, close it. I mean, they would present it. This is what an introvert is. Now, like in school, anytime, besides like answering questions, because I did answer questions that teachers would ask, and I would say, um, different things, but whenever I actually kind of went into an analysis or like discussion about something that like was longer than a short answer um, comment, people would look at me and actually be in utter shock that I was talking as much as I did. I didn't get approached by guys. Nobody asked me out in my grade ever because, and I find out now, like, now that guys like from my high school are contacting me or have contacted me, that a lot of them were intimidated to talk to me because I didn't talk to people at all. I only talked to my friends and teachers. And I would only really hang out with people besides like my close friends. The people I would seek out were the people that were like the loners, and I wouldn't feel comfortable in large groups. I wouldn't go to parties, which again, these are stereotypical things that aren't necessarily the whole like are you an introvert, are you an extrovert, but just kind of to drill the point home. I didn't socialize, didn't have any interest to drink, didn't have any interest to do drugs. Again, you don't have to do that stuff, or if you do that stuff, doesn't mean you're an extrovert or an introvert. Um, didn't have any interest to go to parties, didn't have any interest to really date. I liked one guy my freshman year of high school. I've made a video about it, and I think I want to redo the video. If you guys are interested, it's called Invisible Boy, my first unrequited love situation. I liked this boy when I was 15. The moment he stepped through the door of our biology class, the entire year, and this guy was a very shy guy as well, but the whole year I did not, or at least the first 6 months of being in this class every single day with this guy, I did not talk to him. I was afraid to even like be next to him. I would avoid him in the hallways. The only time that, you know, I would interact with him is if I was forced to be in a group with him. And even at that, like, it wasn't until April that I was even able to say, like, something like, how's the weather to him. That's how incredibly nervous I was to talk to this guy. And I went on to like this guy, and I'll say his name. I never have said his name, but his name was Austin. But I went to go on and like this guy Austin for my freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year of high school, my freshman year of college, and my sophomore year of college. with him moving after my freshman year of high school and only having communication via Facebook, Skype, and stuff like that. So I am very, I would say, am I an ENFJ? Probably not. Do I have a lot of ENFJ qualities? Yes. And the reason why is when I went to college, and I really do want to make a video about this as well. When I went to college, I made myself go out there. I made myself be uncomfortable. I was the person that if I was put in front of a crowd, even if it was only 5 people, I would shake and cry in front of people every single day in high school. And it might not have been every single day. If it wasn't, if basically I cried every single day at high school. I was known for crying. I was known for having panic attacks and anxiety attacks because I have high anxiety and I have depression. Um, I would have anxiety attacks every single day. And if I didn't have an anxiety attack, that was like a very like good day. And it might have not always been in front of people, but a lot of times it was. So that was another reason why people didn't talk to me. But yeah, and in college, I just basically really took possession of my mind. Didn't take medicine, not saying that medicine is bad, just not for me. Didn't take medicine, didn't, haven't ever done drugs, unless you consider coffee or alcohol. Um, just basically made myself go out there, meet people, and just change the trajectory I was going on because the trajectory I was going on was basically to be a hermit, like for the rest of my life. Like I was really going on a path of like not really associating with people. So that was kind of a random thing, but that's my little ranty. Let's see. Whoa. I'm gonna. So if you say that person's name, I'm gonna uh, delete the comment. What major was I in college? I was international affairs, which is international studies or international relations at other places. Kai Kion or Kion Reno. Hello, Emily and everyone here. Hope you all have a good day. Don't forget to be happy. Thank you. Evan Morrow. I get told a lot I seem intimidating or lonely. I'm not, though. I'm just literally not in reality most of the time. I can definitely relate to that. Brian Goss. I hardly talk to anyone in public high school, but when I switched to a small private school, I came out of my shell. I think introverts excel in small schools compared to huge ones. Yes. Um, I agree with that. And maybe if I was in a smaller high school, I was at a public high school, and it wasn't a huge high school. It had like over 1,000 students, which isn't a super like large amount, but it's not like a super small high school either. There's like, I want to say at least 300 or 400 people in my year. Um, but so the university I went to, when I first started there, I went to Kennesaw State University, by the way, which is in Georgia. When I first started there, it had 27,000 students or 26,000 students. And when I graduated, we had 36,000. So there's a huge leap there. But even at the beginning, 27,000 is a very decent size for a school, and a lot of for a lot of places that's considered a larger school, and I wanted to go. I didn't wanna go to a super small school, and I didn't wanna go to, like, UGA, or University of Georgia, if you're not familiar with that, because I just didn't wanna go to a school that a lot of my people from high school were going to. But I wanted to go to a school that was larger to challenge myself because I know how I am. It's very easy for me to um, not break out of my shell if I don't make myself. Sarah, I had my crush at 9. It was unrequited. It lasted 7 years. I'm a hopeless romantic. Wow. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, Sarah. I think when I was I think I'm still this way, which is something that is good and bad. So I'm incredibly loyal when it comes to romantic relationships. Um, I mean, obviously, I have been in relationships where I've broken up with people, but once I've kind of committed to someone, whether I am in a relationship or if I just realize, oh, this is the person I want to be with, I'm pretty set on that. And unless something extreme happens, I will be with that person or want to be with that person no matter what. And what ultimately happened with Austin, the guy I liked in high school, was I found out my mom was moving to Tennessee, and that's where he lived. And I remember asking him on Facebook, which, by the way, I sent him a letter on Facebook like my junior year going into my senior year of high school, where I told him how I felt, which, looking back, and when I redo this video, I'm going to show that cringy letter, because I think it will be interesting for people, but also maybe some people will be able to relate. So he knew how I felt. But anyways, uh, like when I basically, I think it was April of my sophomore year of college. I knew my mom was moving to Nashville, and I told Austin, I was like, "Hey, would you like to grab some coffee? Like my mom is moving to Tennessee, and like we should meet up." Granted, the place in Tennessee where he lived was a few hours away, which in retrospect is a lot. I was willing to drive, but I also really liked this guy. And now, I mean, I see how that's kind of a bit cringy and weird. But I really like felt like, oh, this is the guy for me. Um Anyways, he never responded to that message. And in fact, he looked at the message on Facebook and didn't respond. And then a week later, he started dating someone for the first time. Like he had never been in a relationship before that. And then so I kind of, that was a bit of a hard, like, no on his part without him, like, explicitly saying, which, yeah. Big Bub. Yeah, I mean, I would say, so I would say, okay, going back to the ENFJ thing, I would say out of all of the personality types that I could be outside of like INFJ, um, I'd say the most probable ones are either ENFJ or INTJ, um, in my opinion. But I don't think I'm an INTJ. I don't think I'm in the Gamma Quadra. But I do really value an I. Um, I would not say, even though I think a lot of people, not a lot, but there's some people that think like ISFP or INFP. I'm definitely not an ISFP. Uh, I do know ISFPs and I admire them. My mom's an ISFP, but that's just a personality type that I really do not relate with. Not in the sense of like with one another, but like as far as like the description, the cognitive functions, the way that their minds work. That's not something and I really, even though a lot of people want to claim, INFP, I really do not align well with delta values in like socionics. And I also do not, um, the cognitive stacking and the ordering, just really seems foreign to me, like that way of thinking. And I do know people that have that mindset. My sister's ISTJ. I have a lot of friends that are ENFP. I do have friends that are INFPs. And even though the INFPs and I can look very similar, when it gets down to the nitty gritty and like the way our minds actually function, we are very different. And this isn't necessarily something that you would see maybe via uh, screen, but in person, it's just a whole different vibe. I would definitely say that I am in the beta. Well, not definitely. I would say that it's most likely that I am in the beta quadra. And I do believe I am an INFJ. Do I want to be an INFJ? No. Would I rather be an ENFJ? Yes. But you don't just decide what personality type you are. Would I rather be other personality types besides the types I just said? Yes. I wouldn't want to. If I was to put on a list of which personality types I want to be, INFJ would be further down the list. And this doesn't mean that I don't like INFJs. Obviously, as someone who most closely feels like they are INFJ, obviously, I don't see other INFJs as bad or something like that. But would I like my mind to be like this? Not necessarily. Um, I do admire other personality types for things that I really struggle with, but that's apart from it. I'm not going to try to convince people of my type. People can think whatever they want. Um, but yeah. Astrid the Earthling. Were there certain triggers at school that made you anxious, or were you always feeling general anxiety? So Astrid, there were. I think for me mostly was when I had to perform in front of other people. And this doesn't mean like act. This means when I had to answer something I that was more of like a TE, like extra thinking type of thing. And especially when I had to take tests, particularly in math, even though I'm not the worst at math, and actually, there are certain mathematical theories that I'm actually very good at. But for some reason, when it came to math and being on a time crunch with that and not being able to really sit down with it and like evaluate it, I really felt anxious from that. And really, like, basically, anytime the spotlight was on me, like, I really felt weird. Like, I would almost self sabotage myself so I wouldn't be in the spotlight. Like, I didn't really want to be known for the person that made the best grades because I didn't want to be in the spotlight about it. I didn't want my teachers to talk about it. I didn't want people to know my grades. I didn't want people to know really anything about me in a lot of ways. I wasn't like super private, but I also just was, I don't know, there was a lot of triggers and some of it I don't even remember. Um another Other triggers were um I was bullied a lot, not as much in high school, but especially in middle school, I was bullied quite a bit on the bus. And I was bullied because I was so quiet. And I was bullied because I was sensitive and I would really feel for the people around me. Um, and so there were people on the bus um, that would make fun of me. And I still remember this particular moment. I'm pretty sure this person was an ESTJ. Um, it was this girl named, I'm just gonna say her name. She's not watching. It's not relevant. I have nothing against her. This girl's name was Kayla, and I still distinctly remember this. I was sitting on the bus in my spot that I always sat, and she was having a conversation. She was part of the popular group. A lot of popular kids used to pick on me, and those also happened to be the majority of the people that lived in my neighborhood were popular because where I grew up was one of the best neighborhoods in my city. Um, it was like one of the nicer ones. And this girl I remember saying about I remember this guy saying something, and he wasn't being like malicious, but he said something about me, like wondering about me, even though like I could hear, like they were only a few seats ahead. And then she's like, basically, it was something about like, oh, Emily, who cares about Emily? Like Emily always cries. Like Emily's kind of a worthless human being. Like that was the kind of words that she said, and I'm pretty sure that was in middle school. It might have been in my freshman year of high school. I think that was middle school though. Um, but there were a lot worse than that. And even my mom would go over to people's houses, and I did not want this, but like my mom would actually go over to some of the bullies' houses and actually confront them. And even though that was very hard for me to accept, it actually did work. Um, like, I don't know what happened to those kids, but they didn't bully me again. Um, but this Kayla girl, we never went to her house. Anyways, 9-0. People take sides, and looks like the last video got some flack. Though you can't control the RXN of viewers, you said your piece, and TBH, why shouldn't you be able to? I agree. It's possible you might been a tad blunt with the reasoning, but didn't really seem smearing or damaging. I mean, if I wanted to be also happy birthday, thank you. If I wanted to be smearing or damaging, those are not the words I would use. I would use other words. I know a lot more about certain things about him that I could use as smearing or damaging. Um, and I really could take it to a extreme level, and this person knows that. But I wouldn't do that because that's not my intention. I wouldn't do that. And also, I think that he's a good person, and I wouldn't want, you know, it would be really, um, it would be malicious if I decided to be very explicit about certain things. And also, it wouldn't look good on me either. I think I think that's a bit interesting. Sarah, I always think long term. Omar, I dropped out of college after 2 weeks. Wow. Shamrock. I have no professional training and I'm not the test. However, having studied the system rather thoroughly, I believe I'd view you most as an INFJ just based off how you think, act, talk. Um, yeah, and I'm not opposed to being other types, but I would not. I just really don't personally see myself as any other type. I mean, like I said, I would say the closest to, and again, my online persona, even though I'm not trying to make it that way, besides like obviously the acting videos, that's not, you know, that is pretty far fetched. That's not like, that's not me. It's like a character. When I'm doing a sit down video, it's not like, even now, I don't know if I'm coming across differently than what my friends are used to seeing me as. But I do know that I would say in person, I could definitely see, I would say INFJ, I mean, ENFJ would be the closest thing to me apart from INFJ. And then for certain people, it would be INTJ because there are certain people in real life that do see me as like this more calculating figure. But I would also say that's kind of more of an, wouldn't say act, but kind of coping mechanism with certain people because I want to not be super emotionally attached or like kind of show all my cards, and I kind of like will have this manner about myself that I don't necessarily, I mean, I mean to do, but not, it's not meant to be like a fake thing. Austin, nay, some people type me as an INFP and they give no reasoning. Yeah. That's the interesting thing is when people want to say. Also, I get why people say that, especially about that last video. I do see that last video as a lot of FI. Which the thing is with personality types. So like even INFJs or ENFJs or people that are extrovert feelers in general, it's not that we don't have FI. In fact, all NFs have a pretty good grasp on FI and FE, but it's a difference in value systems. Do you value FI or do you value FE? For me, I personally believe I value FE. Am I bad at FI? No, I don't think I'm bad at FI. And in fact, I think in a lot of ways I can be very good at FI. But yeah, so I would say that video is pretty FI. Like perhaps it might be best to think of aspects of your personality that you'd like to build on or change. However, I think you're wishing to be a different personality is a little offset. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best way to put it. I don't wish, okay, I will, okay, I don't know what terminology or wordage I use. It's not that I wish to be a different personality. What it, do I see like certain personalities as maybe, do I admire a lot of personalities? Yes. But I'm glad that I'm, the certain personality that I am, whatever that personality is. Again, I think it's INFJ, but I could be wrong. Um, I see that as like building blocks, and I do believe in growth, and I don't want to ever be boxed into my stereotypes or the cognitive functions that I am better at, even though it's better about being aware of those things. But do I wish to lead with NI? Do I think that's the best, you know, the most productive way to live as a human being in society? No, not really, because we are lost in our heads a lot. But also, I see the value of having high NI, or at least valuing NI. So it's not really that I wish to be something else. I'm glad that I am what I am, and I'm glad that I've had all of the experiences that I've had, regardless of how horrible or good they are. But yeah, it's more of a I admire other personality types over INFJ, should I say. Savage Studio. If you are open, Emily, I would say, even though definitions and systems of MBTI now differ a lot, you are not INFJ in every system like me, but truly at least me or you are an INFJ to my internal, according to my internal. Yeah. In socionics, I'm not an INFJ. I'm an INFP in socionics. But that's because really in Myers Briggs, INFJ is, I mean, NI is a perceiving function. So INFJs are really not judgers, they're perceivers. I'm using Myers Briggs terms, but in socionics, yes, I am an INFP, I believe. Yeah. But again, could be wrong. Evan Morrow. Um, my problem is I look too far into the future in a relation and rush things. I fall in love with the future person I created in my mind rather than the real person. It leads to disappointment. I couldn't have said it better myself. That was very well said. I also agree with that. And that's partly what I'm doing. So I think I said this in my last video, and I'll be very open with you guys. I have been on dates since that person and I broke up 8 months ago. Have I done anything besides hug? No. The only thing I've done on a date is hug people. One time, this guy did kiss me on the lips, but I was not about it. And then when I made that video, nothing had happened. And then when I posted that video, I started dating again. Still nothing has happened. Another guy also tried to kiss me on the lips. Again, I'm not like this extreme prude, but I really don't want to go around even kissing people that I'm not like wanting to be in a relationship with. And, that's a bit like TMI. But basically what I'm saying is I don't even know if you want to classify those as dates. I was meeting up with guys that potentially could be a romantic um, relationship, but nothing happened. And I consider those dates, but some people may not because nothing physical happened besides, again, a hug. Um, and that really isn't maybe something that I really even need to go into. Um, but my plan now is I really do want to, maybe not right this moment, definitely not, but I do want to eventually get into another relationship. But I want to do it the right way. I want to be at least on a level of friendship, and maybe it will take a bit more time to get into the relationship because just like Evan just said, I tend to see people's potential, and I tend to see a lot of potential in people, like regardless of whether it's a romantic situation or not, like friends, even random strangers, I will see people's potential and what they could be. And that's a good and bad thing because you really should try to accept people for who they are at the moment. And it's not that I don't accept people, and I'm pretty sure Evan is not saying that either, but it's more of a seeing, like Evan said, seeing what they can be in your eyes and like falling in love with the idea of someone rather than the person themselves. And that's something I really want to avoid. Um, 9 alt 0. Have a few INFP friends, but sometimes interactions with them are tough, lol. Mid 20s, but feel like my tertiary FE is still in its neonate. Did I? Am I pronouncing that right? Stages, lol. By the way, I haven't been diagnosed, but this would explain a lot. I'm pretty sure I'm dyslexic. I think I've always been dyslexic. I mean, I don't think you just like become dyslexic. But that really would explain a lot of my life. So sorry if I am bad at pronouncing things. Um, and I'm not gonna blame it on that, but I mean, apart from that, even if I'm not always best. Sarah, I wish I was an ENTJ or an ENFJ. Yeah, I can see that. I feel like having SC in your third slot and having um, basically having an extrovert function in your first and third slot really kind of, to me, is it's a very interesting. Well, I guess all extroverts are that way, but especially like someone on the NISE axis, I feel like are very go-getter type people, and I do admire that. Shamrock, people of the same type can be different. You could be perfectly happy and satisfied with being an INFJ if you work on the parts that you don't necessarily like. It's not that I don't necessarily like them. It's just I admire certain other things. And Supernova, haha, yes. It took me a hot minute to write to because like I said, fingers and keyboard were not on the same page. Okay. Supernova. Pretty sure she has 3 in her tri-type. I only remember that because I asked her same question in a Megan Lavoto video recently. Um, I do. So, Savage Studio, I used to think that I was 925, and that was partly because I was typed by Jonathan. Um, and I don't think Jonathan is completely wrong about that. And I'm not going to say, because I was the one that was taking the test. So I'm not, so that's why I really haven't made anything about Enneagram. I'm not completely like 99.9% certain about Enneagram. Um, I actually do think that I am 9-3 something instead of 9-2. I do think I'm 9-8, and I think I'm SXSO. Um, but I could be wrong about that. Again, I do not feel like I do have a lot of knowledge with Enneagram, but I don't feel like I can say, yes, this is me, um, completely. Big Bob. I'm sure you've heard this enough, but happy birthday. I don't know this is a good or bad thing, but you are one of those people that can pass as high school student on a CW show. TLDR, you look 16. It's very funny. Um, I think earlier I was saying that people a lot of people, actually 3 people in the last week have asked if I'm 19. And last year, I was at a nail salon with my or 2 years no, it was last year. I was at a nail salon with my aunt who's 40, now 41, and at the time, I was 24. I mean, I just turned 26, but at the time I was 24 and they thought that I was 16 and they thought that my 40-year-old aunt was my mom. My mom is in her late 50s, but um, anyways, yeah. I mean, I do take it as a compliment in a sense. I would rather look young than maybe look my age, even though I'm not like ashamed of being 26. Um, I know that like some people will be shocked to know that I'm 26. Um, but yeah. As far as IQ goes, I'm seeing a lot of people write about IQ. Um, I do think, in a sense, that IQ is interesting, but I do find it meaningless in some ways. Um, I think it's meaningless in the sense that if you're considered a genius or highly intelligent via IQ, that doesn't really, I mean, that measures one aspect of intelligence. I don't think it's completely meaningless. It just really means that you're able to really be able to detect patterns and the other things that the standard IQ tests. I personally have taken a paid paid for IQ test, um, and I think my IQ would surprise a lot of people. But and some people in real life know what my IQ is. My parents do, my sister does, some of my friends. I think a lot of people would be surprised because I don't try to come across a certain way online because I just don't agree with acting a certain way. Um, but at the same time, I think emotional intelligence is a lot more important than whatever you get on your IQ. And I think just because you have a high IQ doesn't mean you're going to be successful, and it doesn't mean that you're going to be happy. I want to make a video in the future about who cares if you're attractive, who cares if you're smart and attractive, because at the end of the day, being smart and being attractive are not the ways of achieving happiness in life, and not even really with success. There are certain things that may make things easier for certain people. Definitely being attractive, you def people treat you differently when you're attractive versus when you're not unattractive. Even for me, when I wear even just simply mascara versus going out with no mascara, people treat me differently. Maybe this is all in my head, but I really don't think so. And I've seen it with other people as well. We kind of judge people based on looks, whether or not we're shallow or, whatever. As biologically, we do judge people because biologically we're looking for certain aspects and features that are considered threatening or attractive, just like how other animals do. same thing as intelligence. Intelligence can very much help you, but can also hurt you because if you are highly intelligent, you may feel that you don't need to work as hard or do certain things because you have that one up on people. Alexandra, hi, did MBTI help you to evolve in your life? Did it help you get closer to the person that you want to be? If it did, uh, um, if it did, tell about it, please. I'm INTJ. Oh, send a kiss to Rizzo. Well, Blair's kissing. Um, I mean, I think that it's been helpful. In some ways, I think it's a double edged sword. In some ways, I kind of wish I knew nothing about this because I can't help but analyze people. And it's not something that I really do consciously, but at the same time, I do think it is helpful because I think cognitively, having an understanding for people, you're able to interact with people on a level that you may have not even thought about. So, like, what you may see as someone's downfall or like someone's weakness, or may even opposite what you see as someone's like good quality, because of understanding the cognitive functions primarily, you're able to kind of realize what they're using and what they're missing and what they value, and you kind of realize, okay, these people are, it's not that they're wrong or they're right, it's just that they're using a different way of seeing the world, a different lens. Savage Studio, I personally see 3 or 2, but 9x. X, 9 being 8 seem, yeah. Sorry, I completely oh my gosh, I completely forgot that. Ah, sorry. I was just reading the comments and I forgot that I wasn't really saying stuff out loud. Probably gonna go soon. Again, thank you guys for wishing happy birthday. Let me see if there's any last things that you guys are saying. Um, I think someone said something about what I think about ESTPs. I really like ESTPs. And that's like my dual in socionics. I really see why. And personally, I have a theory about duals, and it might just be really about my interaction with SE dominant people. But personally, the way I see like ESTPs and ESFPs, I personally get along really well with them, regardless of what I'm about to say. But at the same time, I think when the first notion is that when it's set up to like be a romantic situation, like a romantic relationship or something like that, I think an INFJ with an ESTP or an ESFP, I think that can be a little too intense because I think that dynamic is very much just like other dual types, is very yin and yang or yin and yang, however you want to say it. And in a way, it's like almost extreme opposites of one another. Where what I found with ESFPs and ESTPs, at least with me, they tend to be very intense with me and really want to push things forward quickly. And they want to dive into a relationship. They have a very intense gaze about them. They're very uh, committed in a lot of ways. They seem very definitive of what they want. And those are things that, I admire, but also um, can be a little intense. And so my theory is I think if you're friends, at least as an INFJ or an INTJ, if you're friends with ESFPs or ESTPs first without having any romantic implications or like, I don't know why I said it so weird, implications, or having this like romantic lens over things, I think that relationship could eventually turn into a very successful romantic relationship if it starts out as a friendship. I think with the dual relationship, that really does have to start out as a friendship. Whereas with, let's say, ENFPs or ENFJs that I know, I could totally see myself. I mean, yes, I would prefer to be friends with those people first, but I personally feel very comfortable with them, a lot more comfortable with them, because the relationship just seems a lot more. I don't even want to say natural because that's not the word. It's like, because in a way, the ESTP and ESFP relationship feels very natural as well. It's just more on an on a certain wavelength that I'm more comfortable with. And I'm not saying that comfort is necessarily better than uh, the intensity, but yeah, I could see myself jumping sooner into an ENFJ or ENFP or other personalities that are similar. I could see myself jumping into one of those relationships over an ESTP or an ESFP relationship and having it be more successful. Whereas the ESTP or ESFP relationship, in order for me personally to see that as successful, I would want to know those people for a given amount of time and really have an established friendship and then consider a relationship. Sorry if that didn't make sense, but I really need to probably go soon. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining, and um, I will I hopefully will be posting a video in the coming days. And then I don't want to promise anything, but yeah. Oh, also, this is actually a big thing that is going to be pretty different. Um, so I've thought about this for a little while, and I think that this is the best course of action. In the next month or so, whenever I decide to do this experiment, I'm whenever I start like posting videos again, I don't think I'm going to reply to any comment, um, reply or like or heart any comment for a little while. And I'm going to just churn out certain content, and maybe like could be a lot, could be a little, not going to promise. But whatever the amount is, I'm going to try not to actually respond or heart anything. Because I think what tends to happen Even though I don't really let negative comments go to like affect me, I think when I look at comments, even the ones that are well intentioned and supportive, I think I start second guessing certain things that I'm doing, and not in necessarily a negative way, but I really just want to try to be in a state where I'm producing things and not really looking at looking at people's criticism or a acknowledge a positive acknowledgement of the videos and just kind of put things out there, almost acting as if nobody's watching. Which obviously you guys are watching, and eventually I will respond to those comments or do whatever with those comments. But in the meantime, I'm gonna try not to dive into that, if that makes sense. All right, well, um, see you guys later. I will see you later, and thank you again for uh, wishing happy birthday. I really appreciate it, and I will see you later. Bye.